The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships, or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
And today we're going to be talking about the habit of co-creation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We are on date night, and we decided to stop in and do our podcast in my office and catch up.
This is our office. We co-create.
That's right. This is our office. Our. O-U-R. Katie's got a margarita in her hand and a mic in her mouth.
Don't tell my secrets.
And earphones on.
Oh, yeah? Is that the new thing?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the new position.
That's it. So this habit of co-creation. The one thing I wanted to put out there is, I believe, and my experience has been, the purpose of marriage is co-creation. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think we get to that. I don't think we necessarily start there when we first are married. I'm not sure we even know what co-creation is when you first get married.
Yeah, well, we do now. 14 years of being entrepreneurs together, having a family, co-creating together. Maybe we don't have it all figured out, but we do know this purpose of our marriage is to create together and not do things separately. And yes, there's parts that we do separately, but let's kind of go through the journey of co-creation with us. And kind of what we were talking about before we even got on here was a lot of couples that we talk to, they drift apart. And I think drifting apart starts first, maybe with communication, and then usually drifting apart with sex, and then intimacy,
right?
Sex.
Connection.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of put those all into one, but slowly all these things start to happen, and then all of a sudden decisions start to get separated. So can you talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would say definitely, I mean, the drift is because you haven't, I don't think when I go back and I think about prior to us coming together to co-create, to talk about what we want together, there is this separate life, I mean, it's the mom and the kids and the husband who's the entrepreneur creating. And there's this complete, it's separate. It really is. And until you figure it out and until you realize that you want to do it together and how to do it together and what you want together, asking each other, getting real, having the conversations. The husband realizing it's not just going to work, it's showing up, and helping, around the house and being okay with that and the sports and whatnot. And then the same thing for the wife and the mom. It's not just that I'm there to be the mom and take care of the kids, but I'm there to support my husband in any way that I can, and definitely support what he is creating as a business in his life for our family.
So let's talk about, 14 years ago, we decided to start our own business, it was 14 years ago, we decided to start our own gym, our own personal training facility. And that was really the first step into us understanding co-creation. And the reason why I bring this up is because we were doing this 14 years ago. Me and you had a very specific talk, if you remember, that was listen, you're going to have to do the back end stuff of the business, and I'm going to have to be the one that does the front end. And I think we've done a very good job in that business, in the business sense of saying listen, you're really good at this, I'm really good at this. Let's give each other space to create inside of those areas. And eventually, it turned into you kind of took over charge of being the rah-rah cheerleader, in charge of receptionist at one time. And then a lot of the back end stuff that a lot of people didn't see. And then I was more in charge of the overall gym, just the sales and kind of all the sales marketing systems, those things. I don't think at the time we really knew what we were doing in that sense, when we first started. But I remember having that specific conversation about like, listen, this is what you're going to do and this is what you're good at. And the only times I felt like we ever really got into an argument over it was when we crossed over into each other's space, and then that's usually when we'd have conflict. So can you talk a little bit about that, just how early on how we were creating together, yet we didn't really know what we were doing?
Oh, by far. And I think naturally that's just how we are. We are, if you think of your strengths and my strengths and how they work together, it's just I am organized. I'm the one that likes to take care of, the bills, the paperwork, keeping things together, talking to the accountant, the CPA, taking care of payroll, staying on top of things. You are the creator. You're the one that wants to implement everything in the gym, create it, put it out there, take it, make it an action. And yeah, I'm the one who's taking care of whatever it is on the backside to make sure it's all working and running smoothly. And honestly, yeah, the only real conflict it would definitely be when I would need, something from you, whether it be a receipt or something like that, or maybe, payroll was off and you just keep moving. Like you are in this go mode all the time. And sometimes, for me, it's like, okay, stop. I need you to answer this. We need to work on this together because I can't do my job if we're not working together, definitely. And so that was really the only conflict. And me sometimes just having to reorganize what you have unorganized. But that's how we work together. And we didn't know what we were doing. But what's incredible is to look back and realize how, oh my God, how amazing it worked and what we were able to build working together doing that.
Yeah, so we started literally from the bottom. If I remember, we used kind of like our last bit of money we had to start our gym back in 2007 during literally the recession hit. I remember, I think we were in Cabo watching the news and the recession hit. It was 2007. We're getting ready to open this gym and you're pregnant. I can remember going across the TV, the recession and all these things, but I remember it was like, it didn't even matter. And all that mattered is like, we literally spent, I think it was like our last dime for the most part on everything that we had put in our gym. It was like, $50,000 or like $45,000. And we had enough money for a few months after that, but like we literally doubled down.
I don't think we thought about it. It was just all in. Like, this is what we want. This is where we're going. We're going to build this. And it's funny to even think about that now and where we are now, kind of shit. Yeah, we just went for it. And we knew. It was like, there was no question. Like, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going, and let's go.
The thing is when you decide to go together, it's different than when you decide to go separate. And that's where like true co-creation comes into play, is when you decide to play together and go all in. Like, imagine if you're at a blackjack table. It's one thing to go all in with you just pushing the chips in, but it's another thing to have your spouse, your wife, your husband next to you saying, yeah, let's do this. Let's go all in. Let's bet on us. And I think there's a lot of power in that. That's been one thing that, you've always been there for me to support me in that. I've always found that to be very comforting, to just be like, hey, like I'm right here next to you. We're going all in together. It's not you separately. It's not me separately. We're doing this together, and we're going to roll the dice together. And if we win together, we're going to win together. If we lose together, we're going to lose together. But at the end of the day, we have each other.
Right. And it's foundation. And I think it definitely starts with, day one of our marriage. And even in the beginning, we talked about finances. And, I have friends that have separate bank accounts and their husbands control their money and you get this allowance. And from day one, that wasn't how we operated. I mean, it was together. Like,
we were doing that before we were married.
Right. And I mean, I can even remember when I stopped working and had our first child, that was hard for me because I'm like, I'm not necessarily providing financially, but it was never like, okay, you can have this much or we started from the beginning. It's always been, whether it be financially, spiritually, emotionally, supporting each other in really being one and co-creating this life that we want together.
Let's talk about this. Like, we've co-created together spiritually. We got baptized together the same day at the same time. So we, not only did we start a business together, but we actually got baptized together. You got me to go to church, and I fell in love with the church and just what it was about and what it did for us in our marriage, and we got baptized together. And
Champion Center.
Yeah, and then the other thing is I trained you, personal training.
Oh shit, that's how we met.
For literally probably 10 of the 14 years, 10 or 11 of the 15 years we've been together, maybe a little bit more. I've actually trained you myself, and then we talk about like today, you're in my coaching program, Habit-Based Lifestyle. I'm your coach. A lot of couples are like, hell no, I would never coach my wife. Hell no, I would never train my wife. But like, we have literally done this. And I know at times, back when we were training, we would kind of go at it, but it was good for us because
we're both competitive.
We challenged each other.
Yeah.
We continue to challenge each other today. But I think what you've done is you've gained a level of respect as your coach, to where we can separate that while you're being coached. And then when I come home, it's kind of weird because we don't really argue over being coached anymore. It's more like I just show up as the husband at home. I don't have to worry about coaching. And, every once in a while I may pull it out, but I don't remember the last time that I have and tried to actually coach you at home. And so I think it's cool, I want to say for me to be able to coach you, but also for you to let me step into that role with you, and I don't want to say submit, like you just let me do whatever I want, but just kind of like, hey, I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, and I want you to teach me and guide me and how to do that.
Right. Well, and I think it comes down to, honestly, I can say this from my heart, I was blown away. I mean, I've had coaches. I've gone through coaching programs. You coached men for many years. I really knew or did not see. I heard you saying stuff and talking to them, but I had never been personally coached by you or in a group. And the first webinar I was on when you started Habit-Based Lifestyle, I was like, wow, like I get this. I understand this. He makes this so relatable. And so it's not even that you're my husband, because I feel like I kind of turn that off, because I definitely will challenge if there's something challenged. And if you question, I do the work, I show up. Literally, really, I respect what you're doing, and it's not because you're my husband. It's truly because of what you're coaching and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you for that. That's, I think, the ultimate compliment from any husband for their wife is not really what they say, but what they do in action. And having you in my group is more of a compliment than anything that you could probably say. The cool thing is the other women in there, they get to see that. They see that there is no favorites. Even if, we're married, we still deal with real stuff on the calls, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's like, hey, this is real life. This is us, creating together. This is us not having everything figured out. This is us, figuring life out as we go and dealing with real issues like our kids, our family, just life.
Well, and I truly think it has brought obviously a deeper level of co-creation and connection.
Right.
And it's funny because sometimes like I'll get on, and as you know, as you're walking us through some of these coaching experiences, I'm in tears talking about something that's painful that I may not have even shared with you today, but you're coaching me through it.
Right.
And I don't know, like that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. So I'm getting a little teary thinking about this, but I think the powerful thing is when we really look back at our marriage, like we've literally since day one have been co-creating together, from starting our own gyms to expanding those. We expanded, I think, 4 different times where we're like, listen, like we're going to double down again. We're going to continue doing this.
And time out. It was fucking scary. There was tears. There was like, I don't know, Jess, like really you want to make this bigger and do this. And I mean, more trainers, more paperwork, more this, but we did it. We did it.
Yeah. I mean, we started from nothing.
Literally.
To a multi-million-dollar fitness business to, obviously being able to sell that, and then all the way to where we are today. Like we're starting a whole new business and a whole new community and a whole new area that we have not, that we're just breaking into. And it feels a little bit like it did when we first started our gyms, except we're just farther along and we've got some experience in life and what we've done together. And the reason I want to bring this up is because we're going to be co-creating a new experience for couples. I'm not going to exactly tell you when. It's going to be in June, but I'm not going to tell you the dates. But I want to announce this because first we're going to go to the groups that I already coach, the husbands and wives, and we're going to talk to them, and they're going to have the first opportunity to do this. We are going forward, and we are going to start working with couples on this idea of co-creation and really just learning how to operate, as a family, as a husband, as a wife, and not keep these things separate. Like when I hear people talk about separate money, separate finances, separate goals,
separate bedrooms,
and then I hear a lot of stuff now is like the husband goes to one thing, the wife goes to another, but there's really nothing out there where the husband and wife can go together and both get the support that they need. Nowhere. Like literally, there's nothing. We had nothing. We had to figure it out on our own. We've figured a lot of things out on our own along the way, and I want to put this out there as an opportunity for you. If you're listening, this is going to be coming up in June. First, like I said, I'm going to be rolling it out to my clients, but how do you feel about us finally like stepping out and doing this together?
I just had this feeling of it was a coaching experience I was in, and it was a word that came to me. We had to close our eyes and we had to think of a word, and my word has always been passionate. If there's one thing that I am so passionate about it's marriage. It's not easy. It's not meant to be done alone. We need a community that supports us. Wives need wives, husbands need husbands. And I am just so passionate. Marriage matters. Habits matter in marriage. Marriage is amazing, but not done alone. And I'm just so passionate about marriage because of what we have walked through and what I know is possible, and the women I talk to that are in pain and hurting, and the men that have no clue. I'm just passionate, and I know there's a way.
But here's the key thing is, for a long time, the man would go away and he would be like, oh shit, he'd get, punched in the face, slapped. Hey, like, dude, you need to wake up. And then the wife would start going and she would start waking up, but they still had to figure out how to do it together. And there's no one right now, that has been through and walked through what we've walked through in the same way and the same programs and the same things that we've done together and figured it out.
And it's not all figured out.
Well, I'm not saying it's figured out. What I'm saying is figure it out on how to work together.
Yes.
To co-create. Yes, we have arguments, we have fights, we're not perfect. But what I want to say is, like, listen, we've created a business together. We've created this idea of a CEO mom where I fully support Katie and in a lot of the things that a lot of men don't.
3 kids.
3 kids.
Moving. Leaving family.
Like literally burning the past, burning our business. Not burning it down, but just literally like burning the ships and saying like, listen, and at that time, we had a very, very, very good life. And when I say very good life, it was very comfortable. And we left that to be uncomfortable. We left that to be to the unknown. We left family, friends, like lifelong people that we've known to do this because it's our passion. And I want to tell you something because I don't think I've told you, but I sat inside of a program called 40 Years of Zen. I was in a pod and I was in one of my meditation sessions and I woke up because this voice said to me, you have to let your wife speak. You have to let your wife, like you have to promote her to come with you at the same place. And so as I opened my eyes, I started writing out this 2-day event. It's in my journal. This was back in February. We're in the beginning of May, but I wrote this back 2 months ago or 3 months ago. I manifested this in a meditation, and we're going to be launching this in June. And so I wanted to tell you that because it's something that's been on my mind. It's something that's been on my heart. And I wanted to share that because this, I feel like, is the right space. But just so people know where we're coming from, this isn't about money. This isn't about anything other than just the purpose of us helping other couples through things that we have been through that maybe they either don't know where to turn, they don't know where to go. And like, I love counseling and I love stuff like that, but it doesn't ever deal with the real heart of the issue. Like, it doesn't allow 2 people to just strip everything else away and begin to build a new foundation from that place. And, you know, like, I seen this happen firsthand in the 30-day program. We had 3 or 4 couples in the program, and I've watched men and women who are married come through this 30-day boot camp, and all of a sudden there's this shift in their marriage that now they're working together and doing these same things. And this is really what I'm passionate about, and going forward with you is just to be able to team up.
Well, and definitely like the whole counseling thing, like, I mean, been there, done that. And there are some amazing tools you can gain, but at the same time, you don't have other couples surrounding you.
Right.
And, you know, you have a brotherhood, I have a sisterhood, but where's our marriagehood? Like, where is the couples that we go out to dinner with that support and, you know, challenge us to grow? Like, that's been Jesse and I's biggest thing. It's like, shit, like, we need to surround ourselves and we want to create this marriagehood, or what the heck ever we want to call it, of couples that, you know, thrive together, challenge each other, grow together. Yeah, that's great. You can do it with your brotherhood and your sisterhood, but like, we're in this together. Like, marriage is husband and wife. So let's create it together with other couples and yes, and grow.
Hashtag marriagehood. That's the new term. Like, so here's the thing is, I'm all for brotherhood. I'm all for sisterhood.
Oh, for sure.
We both had to use that to get here. But I'm even more for marriagehood. And here's why is, you can tell all your brothers all your secrets. You can tell all your sisters all your secrets, but the real work begins when you can begin to tell your wife all your secrets, or begin to tell your husband all your secrets.
So good.
And really strip everything away and stand there naked.
So good. Yeah.
And say, listen, like, here I am. I'm naked. You know, I'm in pain. It's just me. It's me and you meeting soul to soul. We've stripped away everything from our past. We've stripped away all these, expectations. And now we're just standing here together naked. And now it's time for us to truly create from this foundation and begin to build on this. And that's,
and what you want, like, if it's not working, like, I even think about, like, sexually, like, I always go to intimacy, and of course we tell our girlfriends, it's easier, it's like, this just isn't, this is what I'm going through, or this is what I'm thinking. But man, to turn to your husband and say that, like, how much faster are you going to grow and you're going to get the results you want and you're going to repair and you're going to, have this marriage that you want?
Yeah, and listen, like if marriage is not a contact sport, then you don't really have a marriage. You're going to end up having a roommate. And what I mean by contact is, there's this idea that we need to collide with our wives, our spouse, our husbands. But what I want you to understand in that is it's not about fighting. It's not about fighting each other. It's about fighting for what you want. But a lot of people have used this term of collision in an unhealthy way. Like, I'm going to collide with your story that you're showing up with and telling me. I'm not necessarily going to collide with you over our ego. And that's where I think this idea of collision has really taken a wrong turn. And so, we're going to challenge each other's stories. We're going to challenge how each other shows up, but we're not going to sit here and challenge our egos and who's better, who's done more, this scorekeeping game, which is what a lot of couples do. And I really think that this co-creation is letting go of the ego as a couple, even though it shows up, and really learning how to collide. And when I mean collide, that means collide with each other's stories and how we show up, and really learning how to work through that. And like you said, instead of turning to go tell your girlfriend or sister or your brother what your wife did or didn't do, or what your husband did or didn't do, it's an opportunity for you to talk about it to each other.
For sure. I mean, obviously, yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, it's, the nakedness isn't necessarily physically being naked. It's just, when we did our challenge, it's just, giving your spouse the space to just be fully authentically themselves and share their pain and listen and know what they're going through. Yeah. And then also colliding at the time when you don't agree with something and you want something more, and then you collide together to create the result you want. I mean, that's definitely co-creation.
Right.
So, yeah.
When you look back, we have been co-creating on a mission with each other to get to where we're at today. There's definitely been tons of ups. There's definitely been tons of downs, and there's definitely been some rough travel along the way. And it's been the one most rewarding thing, along with our kids, that I can say, to be with you and to be able to come home at night and come home to you and the kids, and just to know that I have you as your support and know that you are my biggest cheerleader is the most powerful thing for me as a husband, father, businessman, and leader. And I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I agree. And, it's crazy because I was just, we were having the conversation the other day. I had a conversation with a girlfriend about how, her and her husband are financially set and they have whatever, but their marriage, is in a horrible place and they're so disconnected. And, as we laid in bed and talked, and I just shared with you, out of everything in the world, I would say, take the money, take the things. What matters the most is the foundation of marriage and family. And I really, truly, honestly know and can say in my heart, our marriage has never been stronger, and our family connection and bond with the kids has never been greater. And truly, I feel it is because we took a huge leap, came here, and it's us. We're doing this and we're creating and we're starting from the bottom, but really not, because we have it all. We have what we need. And I've even said before to friends, I'm like, shit, people have said, what happens if you lose it all? And I'm like, you can't lose it all if you have it all. And to me, having it all is a marriage and family, because that's all I need.
Right.
Want, I should say.
And I would say this, what are we really losing? We're giving up control of what made us safe.
Yeah.
And so people are afraid to give up control of what makes them safe. And even in marriage, maybe what made me feel safe in my marriage is saying no to my wife for sex, which is what a lot of women do to their husband. They're like, hey, all you want is sex.
Well, and for the man, it's the money. Like she wants,
Yeah, and then the man's like, all you want is money. And so when I have control of the money, that makes me safe as the man. And this episode's like going way longer than expected, but we're just going to keep rolling on it. So it's, but I really want to point out that there's a game that we play inside of this co-creation, and it's, you can't co-create from a place of survival. And if you're in your marriage and you're surviving, which means you're separate with money, you're separate with bank accounts, you're separate with bills, you're separate with how you talk and communicate with your kids, you're separate basically on sex, and you're separate with business. You are in survival in your marriage. You are literally living in survival. And when you're living in survival in marriage, you cannot create from that place. That may be the first thing that you need to recognize if you're listening to this. So if you're listening to this, you're like, I don't know where the hell I am. Well, what stage are you in? Well, the first stage is this, survival. And if you're in survival, then you're very close to something happening, and something big happening, like losing your job. Maybe your wife's showing up or your husband's showing up with divorce papers. But there's a certain numbness in survival. There's, stress, there's numbness, there's, not having sex, there's all these things. And when you're in that place, you cannot create, and you definitely can't co-create. And so in order to co-create, you have to get out of this survival stage and begin creating the marriage and the family that you actually want.
I don't know. When you even talk about it, it breaks my heart, because I know it's common. Like, if you're listening to this and you think, shit, I'm there, you're not alone. Oh my gosh, you're not alone at all. Like, at all whatsoever. And there is hope. Holy shit. Like, there's so much hope.
There's not hope. There's work. Just remember,
I know.
I like the word hope, but hope doesn't get us to take action. Like, listen.
There's hope for action.
If you're in survival, there's movement. Like, you're going to have to start moving and doing something different. Because sitting there hoping something's going to change, it's not going to change. We have to make the change. We have to begin to slowly make a change. And it's not a huge step, but do something different. So the final thing on this is this. We are going to Marriagehood. We're getting rid of the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and we're going straight to Marriagehood, which means we're going to be on a mission to spread this message of Marriagehood across the entire country. Who's joining us? Because this mission isn't about us. It's about us guiding you so you can then guide someone else. And that's really what I want to say about it. It's not that we have it figured out. It's not that, I'm some guru or we are together. We've been through some shit. We've been through some major things, but we want to share it with you so you can guide yourself out of the place that you're in, the pit that you're in, so you can begin to open your eyes and see what's possible. And you guys can begin to create, not only as a couple, but as a family and as businessmen and a CEO mom. And that's really what our message is about. And I wanted to introduce this to you because Marriagehood, as you heard it today, is getting launched. And we are doing a 2-day experience in June. Details on that will be coming soon, but I want to roll this out now. There may be no spots left once this hits the public, but if there is, I'm going to be rolling this out soon. Do you have any final words?
Yeah, let's just take marriage to another level. Like, let's not take ourselves to another level. Let's not rise alone. Like, let's rise marriages. Let's create a marriage movement. I mean, it's time. It's time, because this is what I know. I know that, like, shit, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. What you focus on grows. So let's focus on our marriages. Let's come together. Let's create a Marriagehood.
Yeah, and there's enough men's and women's programs out there separately. It's time to unite and bring these together in one place. I can't think of a better place to come than Laguna Beach, California, Dana Point, California, and actually spend a couple days with your wife, with your husband, and really stripping everything away So you are literally standing there naked. You're not really naked, but just naked and starting over and starting a brand new life from that place.
Yeah, let's rebrand your marriage.
And a rebirth of your marriage. And that's really what this is going to be about. So thank you for being on here today. Thank you for listening. If you are listening, we went over by about 30 minutes. But as you can tell, we're super passionate about this. So thank you for being on here today. If you are looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in the Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook, where I'll be dropping daily habits to help you live to your full potential. If you want to be one of our next case studies and begin living this habit-based lifestyle, please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, comments, requests. You can contact me, Jesse, at habitbasedlifestyle.com. You can also check out my website, Jesse, JESSEEWELL.com, or habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have an awesome day.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse